It was a dark night, darker than most. Ugh, who's knocking this late at night? Hello? Hello? Okay, weird. Oh my god, what was that thing? It bit me. Upon finding this abandoned house, I luckily found some spare clothes to change into. I was absolutely exhausted. While leaving the next morning, I began burning as soon as I went outside. What's happening? Oh my god. Am I a vampire? In today's video, I survived 100 days as a vampire. In my new life as the undead, I faced many things, such as weird forest creatures, vampires, hunters, and even werewolves. Will I be able to find a cure for this vampiristic disease, or will I choose immortality? This video is sponsored by Pixelmon To Go. I've been partnering with Pixelmon To Go, which is an amazing community-driven project that brings you into the world of Pokemon. They have many cool features, such as voice chat, dancing emotes, costumes, and daily events such as huge boss battles. They also have entertainment shows where people can sing or perform. Here's what the textures and costumes look like in-game. And all of it is in this amazing launcher. You can log in with either a Mojang or a Microsoft account. All you have to do is press play to start your adventure. Get the link in the description to download for free. Even though the sun was burning my skin, I was getting hungry, so I quickly grabbed some berries, but they didn't fill me up even a little bit. I remembered seeing a weird bottle of blood in the chest earlier, and for some reason, I felt inclined to take it. But even worse, I drank it, and it actually made me feel full. That night, I decided it was time for me to try to find my way back home, but out of nowhere, a werewolf started attacking me. I tried escaping, but he was completely stalking me. Eventually, I built up the courage and I made a run for it. By the time I got away, I had completely lost my sense of direction and I had no idea where my house was. I found a group of people at a campsite, so I went to ask them for directions, but they suddenly began attacking me. This creeper scared me, but I realized he wasn't attacking me. What's going on? I was getting really hungry, and before I knew it, I was sucking this cow's blood. I guess I really am a vampire. After getting attacked by more people, I came across this little gravesite. Sucked some more blood, and then I found a village. To my dismay, the iron golem began attacking me. I guess I'm an enemy now. In the morning, I found a house with a vampire hunter trainer inside. I'm assuming the other guys must have been hunters then. I found another empty house, and inside there was a chest filled with garlic? Ew. But it also had a book. On the search for blood? So I guess there are others like me. I also found another book, seemingly a guide for newly turned vampires. After going outside, I began to burn again, but I had absolutely nothing, so I began collecting materials. And then a thought came to mind. Maybe an umbrella would help protect me from the sun. So I crafted one, and luckily it did just the trick. While collecting some other materials, I was greeted by another vampire. Even though he wasn't attacking me, I definitely was not comfortable. I decided to craft some glass bottles so that I could collect blood to carry with me. And then I went mining deeper into the caves. Back on the surface, I saw a hunter suffocating. So I went to go help him, but he began attacking me. So I had no choice but to fight back. Sorry, dude. While sucking blood from this villager, I accidentally turned him into a vampire, and I genuinely felt bad, so I ran off. I then came across this weird pillar, and I clicked it. And that caused a vampire raid in which vampires swept the entire village, taking it over and turning the villagers into vampires as well. Whoops. I was feeling even more bad because of this, so I took out my anger on this vampire. While wandering around, I found this graveyard, and although I like to think I'm a good person, I became a grave robber, and I took all of the loot it had to offer, which honestly was a lot. The next morning, I found myself in this lovely biome, but what I soon came to realize was this biome belonged to werewolves, and I had to fight numerous of them off of me. But right beside the werewolf heaven was somewhere much darker. While here, the sky was red, and the atmosphere was deadly. I carried on, trying to find a place to call my new home. I met this girl, and after accidentally hitting her, she became a werewolf and started attacking me. Right beside her was this ominous forest with deadly flowers. I crafted some materials and I was suddenly attacked by this, well, I don't know exactly what he is. Whoever or whatever he is able to duplicate himself. It was nearly impossible for me to figure out which of the four was the real him. After nearly dying numerous times, I finally killed him. There's no way that's a ghost, right? Yep, it's a ghost. Even though I was a vampire, I felt like I was lacking in powers. So far, all I could do was drink blood and burn in the sun. I began researching, and I figured out there was a way to level up my abilities. While collecting blood for this ritual, I found myself face to face with whatever this thing is. But he was just too scary for my liking, so I backed off. And then I was immediately attacked by another werewolf. I just can't catch a break. I collected some blood and I crafted the altar of inspiration. I filled it up with blood, and after a loud thunder, I now had night vision. Unfortunately, that wasn't much help against these guys. Up until now, baby zombies have always been my least favorite mobs. Well, now these guys have replaced them. I decided it was time to set up my new base, so I began building my new house. I guess it's official. I have a coffin. While decorating, a werewolf attacked me from behind, leaving me at only 2 hearts. Luckily, I made it back in my house and I upgraded my tools. Please, go away, ghost. I knew I was gonna need a good source of blood, so I decided to find a swamp to collect some slimes so that I'd be able to craft leads. But of course, I again almost died to some werewolves. Luckily, I eventually found a couple of horses, and this was a struggle. When I realized they were no longer behind me, I saw they had fell into a ravine. Oh my god, that's morbid. But luckily, I found some new horses. After filling my altar with more blood, I was again attacked by one of these guys. And when I went back outside, there were now 8 of them. Yeah, no. I went back inside and again leveled up. Now I had a regeneration skill. Spoiler, I always forgot to use this. After sucking some more blood from my horses, I left and I discovered to definitely never try to suck a wolf's blood. Unfortunately, I stumbled upon a hunter campsite and I was attacked by multiple of them. I barely escaped with my life. Upon finding another village, I began another vampire raid. I was gonna need to find a vampire representative to do a deal for human hearts. Previous research implied I would need these to level up further. These ghosts kept appearing out of nowhere, and I promise you, every single time, I almost passed out from the jump scares. I began turning villagers into vampires, hoping to create a vampire representative. While waiting, I decided to level myself up the last level I could before the altar upgrade, and I was now able to turn into a bat. Yes, a bat. While heading back to the village, I came across a huge graveyard, so I decided to check it out. Unfortunately, wither skeletons were protecting this place. While collecting the loot, I kept getting attacked, but luckily my new bat ability came in handy. Inside the mausoleum was diamond armor, but it unfortunately had cursive binding, and since I was undead, I'd never be able to take it off. I continued to loot everything, and I found this amazing chest. This guy must have been rolling in the dough. I found another village, started another raid, and then I flew back to the other village with the vampire representative. I needed to kill 10 hunters to receive 5 hearts. So I found hunter campsites and began doing just that. Once I arrived back to the village, I collected my hearts. But I was then attacked by the iron golem and again almost died. Ironically, a zombie raid began to occur. I felt pretty bad watching, so I went down to help the golem. But it was too late. I needed some more horses, so I went out and found them and brought them home. I also noticed I was being stalked by human form werewolves. I named my horses Angel, Spike, Darla, and Drusilla. If you know, you know. I thought it would be a good time to go collect obsidian so that I could finally visit the Nether. On my way back home, I found another one of those vampire biomes. I decided to take on some of the vampire barons. Unfortunately, the barons combined with these annoying ghosts was incredibly challenging. But eventually, I was able to defeat them. Oops! No. Every single time. After teleporting to the Nether, I discovered a gorgeous city right beside my portal. Being able to roam around the Nether as a bat was incredibly convenient. I roamed around the city for a while, but I couldn't find anything of much value. I continued to explore around, and I found so many beautiful biomes. However, I also found myself in a fight with the demons. These guys were really strong, but I was able to beat them eventually. While collecting levels, I found an unfamiliar ore called Nether Ruby. I then found this odd structure, but there were dozens of mobs inside. Fire was thrown at me and I nearly died, surviving on only half a heart. I don't know what those are, but I want nothing to do with them. Eventually, I found a fortress and I quickly collected some rods for Eyes of Ender later on. Back home, I decided to try a better approach at collecting blood, so I made a meat grinder, which would allow me to throw meat in it and it would grind it down to drinkable blood. Back in the forest, I saw this strange creature that I'm not even going to attempt at pronouncing his name. I began attacking him, but he was so strong. He cut down half my health in just a matter of seconds. I continued to fight, but I seemingly was no match for him. When I thought I was safe, I started getting attacked by these light soul things, but I realized that I was able to attack them back. I continued fighting on, nearly dying again and again. Eventually though, he got kinda confused and I killed him. He dropped his skull, but it was kinda glitchy. Still, it looked cool in my inventory. After collecting some meat, I went back home and I threw it in the grinder and collected lots of blood. If I wanted to level up my vampire skills, I was gonna need an upgraded altar. So I set that up, put in the proper materials, and began the ritual. I decided it was time for armor, so I went back to the Nether and I collected a lot of rubies. I felt the red armor would suit the whole vampire thing. I also traded with piglins to collect ender pearls for eyes. Looking pretty good. I also finally began enchanting my armor and my tools so that I'd be prepared to fight the ender dragon. I began my search for the stronghold, and being able to do this as a bat definitely made things quicker and easier. After finding the stronghold, I looked around for a bit before finding the portal, and as soon as I did, I put in the eyes and I jumped in. I collected all of the XP and of course the dragon egg. You would think after numerous times doing this, I would be able to do it right. But nope. I was completely amazed by the end and how beautiful it was. I had never seen anything quite this mesmerizing in my life. I was not interested in anything other than the elytra and the dragon head, so I built up, collected both, and after jumping off, I made my way back to the portal and I jumped right back in. You guys know that I always watch all of the credits. I was now back home and I laid the dragon head and the egg next to the skulls in my yard. I wanted to become the strongest vampire I could, so for the next, well, many days, I collected all the materials I would need to do so. First, I was able to increase my speed, and now I was fast boy! Next, I'd need even more gold in vampire books. And with this upgrade, I could now see entities through walls, which yes, I completely forgot about. I needed more pure blood, so I fought another baron with the help of the zombie. This is another skill that I did not use. I continued to collect more human hearts, nearly dying in the process, as well as killing more barons for pure blood. Wait, did he just teleport? I want that. Oh, okay. So this is how it works. I upgraded once again, now having a jump boost. Okay, this is pretty awesome. While messing around, I found another one of these things. I wanted to know what his deal was, so I began attacking him. He seemed to disappear, but I finally spotted him. And he dropped absolutely nothing. And finally, the last upgrade. I could now teleport by just looking at spots. I wanted to test this out, so I went looking for a werewolf, and once I found one, I provoked him. I was able to easily dodge any of his attacks with this new teleportation ability, but then I was reminded of reality. The sun came out and I had to go back home. I went to sleep, waking up not feeling great. While drinking blood from my horse, I thought to myself, is this really what I want? Did I want to live like this forever? No, I don't. I began researching a way to cure myself, and I learned there's an altar of cleansing that can cleanse me back to being human. There was no recipe, so I searched every village I could for a library, but there were none. I was desperate, so I began crafting away until I finally found the right recipe. I had it, my way back to mortality. I went outside and I questioned if I really wanted to lose all of these amazing abilities I had worked so hard to obtain. I decided that yes, I didn't want to drink blood and avoid the sun for the rest of my life. I went back inside and decided it was time to make a choice. Revert back to normal human, yes. And just like that, I was human again. I put on my clothes and I took my horses on a journey to find my old home. Luckily, it took a few days, but on day 100, I finally found it. It felt so great to be back home. Thank you all so much for 30,000 subscribers. I would also love for you guys to watch out for a new YouTube membership that's going to be available on my channel soon. And don't forget to join my community Discord. The link is in the description. Bye guys!